Hey everyone, it's David Brzezowski from Telesmart EQ with this week's installment of EQ How To, and it is a good one. How many of you, by a show of hands, have a bad habit that you would like to kick? I'm going to raise my hand on that. How many of you have tried and within days or weeks you failed at it and so then it's still a bad habit? You are not alone on that because research shows, and this is research from University College London, that it actually takes 66 days to create a new habit. Likewise, it takes 66 days, unless there is some sort of a physical addiction, to kick a bad habit. So 66 days, longer than 2 months, many of us are just not sticking with it the whole way to get there. So let's understand, first of all, how a bad habit forms. And then we're going to get into how you can kick it. First of all, there's some sort of trigger that makes us turn to undesirable behavior. Let's call maybe it's overly stressed. That's your trigger. That second part becomes the actual bad, undesirable behavior that becomes a habit itself. So let's say that you maybe turn to, a bag of jalapeno chips every single time you get stressed and you love those. That's what you eat. It calms you down. It makes you happy. Your body then starts to say, you know what? You're overly stressed. Grab some chips. You're overly stressed. Grab some chips. That's the third part of creating this bad habit, is that it now becomes automatic. Without even realizing it, you have now created a bad habit because your system, your brain, your body is all telling you that helped satisfy before. Let's get back on it. So we now have to figure out how do we reverse that. So I have for you 3 EQ how-to tips for getting rid of a bad habit for good. And what we're going to do is we're going to break down those 66 days into 3 EQ how-to tips. The first one is the first 10 days, and that is using our self-awareness skills. What we need to do is, number one, identify what is the bad habit we want to kick. And number two, probably more importantly, is what's the trigger? Why is it that I turn to that every time? Take those first 10 days to really narrow down and figure out what it is that we are doing that makes me go there. Tip 2 is now spend the next month holding yourself accountable and getting it out of our system. Here's how you also do that. Using your self-management skills, what I want you to do is figure out how is it that you hold yourself accountable. A great way to do this is by asking others to call you out on it. And that actually means giving them permission to say, aren't you supposed to not be eating those chips all the time? Isn't that the habit you're supposed to try and kick? Give people permission to not, yell at you, but at least to call you out when they see you doing this bad habit. Eventually, you're going to start realizing, oh, wow, I'm doing it again. And it's going to make you think for yourself about getting out of this. Tip 3 are those last 2 weeks. And this is your time to learn, when is it that I have actually, made the mistakes? When is it that I've actually kept turning to that? And then you figure out what you have to do to stop it. Maybe it's simply stop buying the jalapeno chips. Or if I buy them, because they're not just for me, hide them so that they're not on the counter so that you see them. Those are the 66 days. And then on 67, celebrate. Yes, have a jalapeno chip, but then figure out what's that next bad habit you want to kick. 66 days, and I promise you that if you stick with it, you are more than likely going to kick that bad habit that you've been trying to for a while. Thanks for joining me for another round of EQ How To. We'll see you next time.